interestingly, when we speak to founders, there's a lot of clarity around strategy. And then as you go to layers below in the organization, we call it the rate of strategy decay. It keeps, increasing, where frontline teams have probably less visibility into the company's strategy. And that's where frameworks like OKRs come in to actually bridge the gap. You chose OKRs in 2021, and you probably would have been practicing it earlier as well. So what was it about the timing to choose OKRs?
I think, it's a great question. So could it have happened earlier for us? And should we have adopted early in our journey? But the key thing is that we have been extremely focused on our customers. What are they saying? What are they liking? What are they not liking? And we have been also focused around measuring what really matters. What really matters from customers' point of view, and what really matters from adoption and growth point of view. So this the whole journey into OKR is very interesting in the sense we also have a strong handle in terms of trying to build the right kind of work environment. So we really believe that the culture that you are offering and is something that is like the operating system for the organization, is the real OS which is running the organization. So when you look into these aspects, we also have employee engagement and employee NPS. So one of the findings that came out in 2020 is that the size, scale, and the complexity of the business has expanded, and then there are a lot of stuff happening. So is there a complete clarity in terms of what the organization is doing? What are the priorities? Is that clarity there, like you mentioned, is that there from the top to bottom? So this really came out as a nice, important area to work on. So that was one outcome which came out of that employee feedback. The other one that we were also looking at is that while it's getting more complex, while it is getting more competitive, it's very important to be very agile. And how do we create collaborative workforces that can really go in a very focused manner? So these are the two things which came into as the definitely strategic tool to also improve the culture. So that is where OKR actually came into existence. So we really were looking at something that can bring in collaborative work, and it can bring in extremely focused execution framework. So that is how the OKR journey started for us, Vidya.
Yeah, and I kind of reminisce back in September, August to September, when we had probably our first call around OKRs. And from there, while Fitbots partnered and we supported you from an external perspective, there's a lot of heavy lifting that you did as the sponsor and founder around getting the foundation of OKR set into OneAssist. So could you talk to us a little bit about how you went about it along with your teams?
That's interesting. I mean, see, this is a journey. So you don't, you're looking at taking few steps forward every day. You may or may not have to set a destination, especially when you're getting into that. I think I definitely had an early realization that to me, OKR is not a software. OKR is not a tool or a framework. It's actually a culture builder. So honestly, I mean, that's the way I visualize, and that's where we started. We spoke about why we did and why at this stage. So I think we are coming onto this. I was coming onto this completely. How do we leverage this framework so that we build a high speed, highly agile and collaborative workforce who really enjoy their work? So I think taking that perspective meant 2-3 things. One, the founder's skin in the game is very important, because I think we are really responsible and we have to really lead the whole cultural step up and the evolution that an organization need to go through. And so we have to really lead from the front. So that was one thing which was there clearly in my mind. And that maybe have led to a situation where I really had to step up myself, my attention, my bandwidth for this program and lead from the front. The second thing about this, I think people miss out, is that OKR is actually not a software. It's a behavioral change. So I think this is a very important one, and that's also a little bit of difficult part of OKR. So how you conceptualize, it's not a tool that you're adopting for the organization and everybody will adapt and transition in 2-3 months. What are we saying? We are saying that we are doing things in a certain way, and now we can do things in a certain better way. And hey, this is a framework which will help you to do it that way. So in a sense, we are talking about change in behavior in employees and people. And in those scenarios, the leaders, how we empathize with the workforce, how we work with the team members, how we collaborate ourselves, the leaders and the founders, with the employees to support them, to encourage them in that change, because it's a change management tool. I think that is where I was clear from the beginning that one, I have to lead from the front, and second, I have to be part of this journey so that I understand this better and stand by and empathize and bring in a lot of compassion and support and handholding to the team. I think these are the two things which are there in my mind while walking this path as a sponsor.
And in fact, you've set a gold standard as a sponsor, because personally, we've seen you how you get involved in meetings, not so much to understand only progress, but also coach teams so that they can move ahead. I think that's something which is very, very commendable in the way you've approached the role of a sponsor. You spoke about the difference between pre-OKRs and probably where you are today. Could you give us some examples on what kind of metrics you would probably have taken before, let's say, 2021, when you actually started, and after OKRs? How did you really get the teams to take up high value or high velocity metrics?
What was happening behind the scene before even you guys stepped in is that first we had to align the top priorities for the organization among the leadership team. So I felt, taking on to this journey had a lot of strategic value for us because we got that piece going. So we spent a lot of time, many hours, multiple discussions with the leadership team in terms of really carving out what is the most important priority for us, what really matters to us. And that is how the corporate level, KRs came out. So, to me, if I have to look at the early indicators, because we are just 4 months into implementing it, maybe 6 months into the whole journey of understanding the framework and putting it to work. So the first gain has already happened. The first gain happened before even the OKR started. And that gain is the top senior management, the leadership team, everybody being very clear and aligned. Hey, these are the 3 big things that we are chasing for the next 12 months or 6 months for the organization. So that makes decision taking easier for all the functional leaders. It helps people to take trade-off decisions, and things don't have to come to the founder always. So I think those benefits already accrued if you have to look at in the first 3-4 months of the last, in the sense, last 3-4 months of the last calendar year. So if you have to answer that, what are the changes we are saying pre-post? I think for me, that's a big step forward. And I'll take it as a victory coming out of OKR. From an organization point of view, it's a victory because clarity gives power, energy, focus, speed, everything. The second part is that at the current size and scale, the organization has grown in the last 2-3 years. And people working in different parts of the company, business, technology, product, engineering, service delivery, supply chain, call center, BD, they are understanding what's happening on the other side of the organization it diminished over the last 3-4 years. When we were a smaller team, everybody knew what's happening. So the second set of benefits I'm seeing what this has done is that it has really brought in cross-functional teams together into different pods where people have an understanding and an empathy around what are the things they are being challenged with, what are the things the other teams are working on, what are the things they're trying to solve on. I think this has led to huge amount of understanding, empathy, and compassion, and that is where a collective spirit is coming on board gradually to solve things collectively for everybody, for the organization, for the customers. And I think as we pursue this further, this will really start standing out very, very significantly.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And having worked with teams closely in OneAssist, I do realize that there's a lot of now appreciation for what others do. At the same time, shared key results. So different teams are actually, as you rightly said, you used the pods way of aligning teams. And everybody's working towards shared metrics.